it!
Greetings, Nick with Sweetwater here, and today, with a little help from my good friend Don, we're going to be taking a quick look at the latest addition to UAFX's critically acclaimed series of half stacks and combos in a box, the Knuckles. This fine grey box of tone joins the likes of the Lion 68 and the Enigmatic, and it comes hot on the heels of another high-gain US amp offering, the Anti. Sorry about that, couldn't resist. I messed up the end, but who cares, you get the picture. This Knuckles pedal sounds great. The Knuckles is UA's meticulous take on a 1992 Rev F dual rectifier amplifier. Just like the block letter 5150 amp, the Rev F dual rec is a highly coveted amp with almost a mystical allure, especially to the metal community due to its legendary tone and rarity. Just so you know, apparently the late great Alan Holdsworth used the dual rec Rev F too, and to quote UA's much respected designer James Santiago, "Good enough for Alan Holdsworth? Good enough for me." As I know you know, while the Marshall Plexi and then the JCM 800 2203 ruled the hard rock roost in the 70s and 80s respectively, the same was true of the dual rectifier in the mid-90s to mid-2000s. And it wasn't just metal acts such as Metallica, Meshuggah, System of a Down, Soundgarden, Godsmack, Rammstein and Disturbed either. It was also the amp of choice for, dare I say, much more radio-friendly acts such as Blink-182, Bush, Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, 311, Nickelback and the Foo Fighters as well. From metal to pop punk to alternative, the dual rec literally did rule the 90s and 2000s. In fact, back then, you literally couldn't switch on the radio or MTV without hearing or seeing one. Just like the very first ad I ever saw for a dual rec in the mid-90s boldly stated, "Not all mess ramps are boogies." And there was even an armadillo perched on top of the diamond-plated clad half-stack in said ad too. Perfect. In my humble opinion, the Knuckles pedal definitely captures that unique dual rectifier feel, plus its many tonal nuances and options as well. Really, really well, in fact. take a quick look at what the 6 control knobs, 3 mini switches and 2 foot switches on the Knuckles do. We'll start with the 6 knobs, and, as is the case with its brethren, 5 of these controls have a dual function, depending on where the middle 3-way switch labelled Alt, Amp and Store is set. When this switch is set to Amp, the middle position, the controls are the usual suspects you'd expect on a dual rec. The top 3 controls are gain, presence and output, while the bottom 3 are the tone controls for bass, middle and treble. When the middle mini switch is set to Alt, which is the up position, the controls revert to the functions in parentheses. To this end, we have room and gate on the top row, with the output control staying exactly as it is. No extra function on this bad boy, my friend. As for the bottom 3 controls, they now work the built-in overdrive pedal. And from left to right, we have the following: overdrive level, OD tone, and OD volume. Just so you know, right out of the box, this optional overdrive is one of those good old green ones, namely a tube screamer. But, as Don will reveal in a minute or so, there's another cool overdrive option you can access via the handy dandy app. As you'd expect, the aforementioned gate control adjusts the thresholds of the unit's built-in gate. And just so you know, more control of the gate is available via the app, so stay tuned for that. Also, when this control is turned fully anti-clockwise, the gate is off. And as you've no doubt already surmised, this gate is extremely effective. Great tight gate, sloppy, untight playing. Anyway, you get the picture. Cool gate. As for the room control, well, that allows you to dial in studio ambience to your desired level. Add air to your tone, if you will. And the excellent sounding room being modeled here, just so you know, is the much revered Studio 610 at Universal Audio's HQ in California. As the label above the 3-way switch on the right of the Knuckles tells us, this one allows you to select the amp's channel. The top setting is the so-called clean option of the dual rectifier's orange channel. I say so-called because it can in fact get nicely gnarly when the gain control is cranked. Check this out. Hear what I mean? That was really crunchy for a clean channel. The middle position is labelled orange and is the rhythm crunch setting of the dual rec's orange channel. I especially like this one with the typical tube screamer setting of the volume control all the way up and the OD knob all the way down. As for the bottom one, the red one, it's the high gain setting, which is perfect for brutal rhythms or leads. The mini switch on the left of the Knuckles labelled cab allows you to wait for it. Yep, select your cabinet IR, or not as the case may be. Right out of the box, the Knuckles comes loaded with 3 Rs. The 3 cabs in question are from top to bottom: UK V30, a Marshall 4x12 loaded with Celestion Vintage 30s. Then in the middle, CA V30, an oversized 4x12 loaded with Celestion Vintage 30s again. And finally at the bottom, White 75, which is a Marshall 4x12 loaded with Celestion 75 watt speakers. The red light to the left of the switch tells you exactly which one you're on. When this light is off though, this means the IRs are bypassed, which you'd obviously want if you're using your Knuckles plugged into your amp's power stage and speakers. To get to this, just keep clicking the switch until the light goes off, just like this. Speaking of IRs, when you register your Knuckles, you get 3 more cabinet IRs for free. Dom will tell you more about that in a minute. Last but by no means least, we come to the unit's 2 foot switches. Out of the box, these 2 switches do the following. The left one switches the pedal's live mode on and off, and this simply means that whenever the LED above it is red, you're literally hearing whatever setting is on the pedal at the time. So that's what we're going to hear, whatever's there. As for the right foot switch, well, that activates the preset you've already saved to the unit, and the LED above it will glow green wherever your preset is engaged, just like this. And saving a preset couldn't be any simpler, by the way. All you do is this. Once you've dialed in something you like, you merely hold down the middle mini switch downwards to store and keep it there until the LED over the right foot switch blinks. And hey presto, that setting is now saved and will be saved until you decide to overwrite it. Perfect. And obviously, when both LEDs are off, just like this, the Knuckles is effectively off as well. Now, once again, the app offers you other switch options too, so stay tuned. Before I hand over to Don, let's quickly look at the back of the unit, which houses the following. 2 inputs or outputs for either mono or stereo use, a 9-volt DC power input, a USB Type-C input for firmware updates, and a pair button for activating Bluetooth and thus enabling you to use the handy-dandy UAFX mobile app. And that, my friend, segues us neatly over to Don and the veritable plethora of tonal options the app offers. Take it away, good sir. Take it away.
Hey, thanks, Nick. The Knuckles app is where you can do some pretty cool tweaks to the amp. First, as Nick mentioned, you get 3 extra speaker cabs when you register your pedal. So when the light to the left of the cab switch is green, you'll know that you're using these cabs. In the top position is an Electro Voice EVM 12L and a 112 cabinet. Now this is the classic 1980s version of the speaker and it's mic'd with a 414. In the middle position is a custom ported 412 cabinet with vintage lead 80-watt speakers mic'd with the ubiquitous 57-121 mic combo. And in the bottom position, a 1968 basket weave 412 cabinet, vinyl covering removed, with 2 Celestion greenback speakers mic'd with a 57 and 2 JBL 120F speakers also mic'd with a 57. Pretty specific, but if you know, you know. Changing a speaker cabinet makes a huge tonal difference, but there are a few subtle amp tweaks in the app. Now, one is the ability to change the boost pedal. The stock pedal is a TS style, which is perfect for adding that all-important mid boost. But if you prefer something with a different flavor, the Knuckles offers the TC Electronic Integrated Preamp as an option. Now it's a clean boost with massive internal headroom and a fairly flat EQ, but more importantly, it has a bass control, which takes the place of the TS's overdrive control. It's perfect for tightening up the heavier, looser low end that the dual rec is famous for. Kind of gives you the best of both options. So I'm going to preset that's using the TS. I'm going to switch over to the TC, and then I'm going to control the bass control on the TC, and you'll hear what I'm talking about. The gate has 5 controls, which allows you to dial in the exact response. And as you'll hear, it's very effective. Okay, so I'm going to start with the gate off. You can hear there's just a little bit of hiss there. It's not a super noisy preset, but it does have some gain to it. I'm going to show you 2 different settings, one that's pretty abrupt and then one that's pretty subtle. So here it is without the gate. And here's the more subtle setting. So let's kind of let me hang on to the notes and attack as slow as I want to and kind of release as slow as I want to. And here's something that's going to be a little more abrupt. So this is a quick attack and a quick release with a pretty high threshold. So you can hear it'll really chop the notes. Now next is something that really adds to the versatility of this pedal in terms of the way it integrates with the rest of your rig. It's labeled signal flow, and what it replicates on the original amp is the series effects loop. So it's essentially a patch point between the preamp and the power amp section, which on the physical amp is great for time-based effects, but here's why it's cool on the pedal. Full is the default setting and normally how you'd use the pedal. Preamp and tone EQ bypasses the power amp section of the pedal. So by turning off the speaker simulation, this turns the Knuckles into like a preamp that you could use either into the power amp and cabinet of your tube amp or as like a dual rec style gain pedal for the front of your amp. Now conversely, tone EQ and power amp bypasses the preamp section of the pedal and allows you to plug another preamp into Knuckles and take advantage of the girth and power section and all the speaker simulations. The next 4 options were also available on the original amp. Now first is the channel style option, which was available on the orange and red channels. You have normal and modern on the orange channel and normal and vintage on the red channel. Now without getting too deep into it, I'll say that these switches revoice the preamp response and EQ. So let's give a quick listen to the differences. So here's an orange channel preset, and I'm going to switch between normal and modern voicing. That's all I'm going to change. And here's the same thing with a red channel setting. I'll start on vintage and go to normal. You can change the power tubes from the brighter, deeper 6L6 sound to the warmer mids and less bottom and top EL34 configuration. No rebiasing necessary. You can also change the type of rectifier from the snappier solid state setting to the slightly saggy tube setting. Now, I really found this to be useful in crafting sounds because it has a lot to do with the response and feel. Now, I have a Roadster, which is in the Rectifier family, and it's a 4-channel amp where each channel has its own rectifier setting, and I really liked having that option. That was my main amp for touring and recording for about 8 years. I got it in the first year of production, like around 2006. Finally, there's the Bold Spongy Power mode. Bold runs the power tubes at increased voltage, which is aggressive and punchier, and Spongy is lower voltage with a softer feel. Oh, and also there's a master volume control, which acts like the master on the original amp, and turned up it does add a little harmonic content and coloration. The other options in the app are similar to the other UAFX amp pedals. You can change the functions of the foot switches, and there's a 4-cable mode, which allows you to use Knuckles like an extra channel in your amp if your amp has an effects loop.
So there you have it, folks, the new UAFX Knuckles pedal. Don, what do you think, my friend?
Man, really, really good. I mean, just like all the UA pedals, right? All these UA amp pedals really does the thing. I mean, it just absolutely sounds like the genuine article.
Yeah, I love the way they dive in deep, so it's almost component by component modeling, as opposed to a snapshot, which is really cool.
Exactly, and also the fact that it's got all the options that the amp had. I mean, I'm looking at it going, oh, that's the face of my amp, or the back panel of my amp right there.
Pretty amazing, very versatile. Not a one-trick pony by any stretch of the imagination.
Indeed. In fact, I think the fact that you have the Lion out right there just says it all. I mean, it's a great pairing with a mid-forward style amplifier, which, you know, of course the Lion is that.
In fact, in a minute, why don't I play a riff on the Lion, then you join in with the Knuckles. But in the meantime, folks, for more information on the Knuckles and other fine UA products, please go to sweetwater.com, or better still, call your always oh-so-friendly and oh-so-helpful sales engineer. This is me and Don signing out with some fine riffage. Well, fine riffage from him, dodgy playing from me. Thanks for watching. So see ya.